The city world of Arcani shone like a jeweled crown around its dying star. Skyscrapers of glass and alloy pierced the atmosphere, each spire humming with the presence of alien power. Dozens of species had come here to gather under the banner of the Galactic Council, but for all its grand ideals of unity, the station reeked of distrust. Empires smiled while sharpening knives behind their backs. Among them walked Captain Alara Vance, human diplomat and reluctant soldier. Her polished uniform marked her as part of Earth's delegation, though the way other species' eyes lingered on her, suspicious, wary, reminded her that humanity was still considered an outsider. The Council had only admitted Earth 5 years ago, and already whispers painted humans as dangerous, too passionate, too unpredictable, too willing to fight. Alara had been instructed to observe, not interfere. Humanity's leaders wanted her sharp eyes, not her sharp tongue. And yet, as she stood in the Grand Forum, she felt the tension crackling in the air. Rumors spoke of the Kairathi, a warlike, secretive race arriving with something no one had ever seen before: their child heir. The thought unsettled Alara. The Kairathi were said to raise their young in shadows, unseen until they were fully hardened adults. If the whispers were true, the galaxy was about to witness something extraordinary and dangerous. The council chamber dimmed as the Kairathi entered. Towering figures in obsidian armor flanked a smaller shape, almost hidden by their shadows. Gasps rippled through the assembly when it stepped forward. The alien child was no taller than Alara's shoulder, its eyes a molten gold that seemed far too ancient for such a young face. Its skin shimmered with faint bioluminescent patterns, shifting like constellations across the night sky. Unlike the soldiers, it wore no armor, only a simple woven garment that looked strangely vulnerable. The room held its breath. A Kairathi heir had never been seen beyond their war clans. For them to present a child here before rival species was unthinkable. Alara felt an instinctive pull. Perhaps it was the child's trembling hands, or the way its gaze darted to her, ignoring the alien dignitaries and focusing only on the human. She hesitated. Stepping forward would break protocol, paint her as reckless. And then it happened. The alien child reached out, a small clawed hand trembling in the open air. Toward her, Alara's training screamed at her to remain still. But her heart, the very thing humanity was so often judged for, moved her. She took the child's hand. The galaxy changed in that heartbeat. Some delegates cried out in horror. Others shouted in their native tongues, voices sharp with accusation. "Blasphemy," hissed a Valian priest, his silver fronds trembling. "Manipulation," barked a Goric warlord, pounding his armored fist into the floor. Even the council moderators struggled to maintain order as the chamber dissolved into chaos. The Kairathi guards tensed, weapons humming with deadly energy. To touch their heir was an act punishable by planetary erasure. And yet the child didn't let go. Its golden eyes locked on Alara, its bioluminescent patterns calming into a steady rhythm that pulsed in sync with her own heartbeat. Alara expected death. But the Queen Regent of the Kairathi, massive and cloaked in living armor, only studied her with a predator's patience. Then with a voice like grinding stone she spoke. "The child has chosen." The uproar deepened. Chosen by a human? Alara's mind raced. She hadn't acted from strategy, only compassion. Yet in that instant, she had been bound to something far larger than herself. Later, behind closed doors, humanity's delegation demanded answers. "You've jeopardized Earth's position," hissed Senator Darren, his face pale. "Do you realize what this means? If the Kairathi see you as their child's guardian, Earth becomes a pawn in their empire's games." Alara stared at her hands, still tingling from the alien touch. She remembered the fear in the child's eyes. No, not fear, loneliness. She had recognized it instantly. A child born into war, shown to the galaxy as a weapon rather than a soul. And now, for reasons no one could explain, it had reached for her. Whispers spread like wildfire. Some species saw the moment as a chance for peace, a bridge between humanity and the most feared empire in the galaxy. Others demanded Alara's removal, calling her bond with the alien an abomination. Assassins were rumored. Protests flared on neutral worlds. But through it all, the child sought her out. During every council session, its glowing eyes found her across the chamber, as if tethered by an invisible thread. Alara realized with a chill. This wasn't just a bond. This was destiny, and it would either unite the galaxy or tear it apart. It happened, sooner than anyone expected. A rogue faction of the Council, species who feared the Kairathi's growing influence, unleashed a coordinated strike during the summit. Explosions rocked the chamber as armed insurgents flooded in, their weapons set to kill. Panic tore through the assembly. Delegates scrambled for cover. Guards clashed in a storm of fire and steel. Alara shoved the alien child behind her, drawing only a sidearm, laughably small compared to the invaders' arsenal. "Stay with me," she whispered, though she doubted the child understood her words. But it did. The child's patterns flared bright like a star igniting. A shimmering field erupted, absorbing a volley of plasma bolts that would have killed them both. Alara blinked in awe. The child wasn't just an heir, it was a living conduit of unimaginable power, and everyone wanted it. One insurgent lunged, aiming a blade at the child. Alara threw herself forward, taking the strike across her arm but firing point blank into the attacker's chest. Pain seared through her, but she held her ground. She wasn't just defending a child. She was defending a choice, a bridge the galaxy had never dared to build. Then came the Queen Regent, her armored form cutting through chaos. With a roar, she crushed the insurgent ranks, but her gaze fell on Alara, bleeding, shielding the child with her own body. The Queen could have reclaimed her heir, could have declared humanity unworthy. Instead, she watched as the child pressed its glowing hand tighter against Alara's, its energy pulsing like twin heartbeats. And in that silent exchange, something shifted. The Queen lowered her weapon. "So be it," she growled. "The bond is sealed." The insurgents fled or were destroyed, but the damage was done. The galaxy had seen it live across every broadcast. A human defending the Kairathi heir not as a soldier, not as a pawn, but as family. It was no longer a question of politics. The galaxy had a new reality, and Alara knew nothing would ever be the same. The council chamber lay in ruins, smoke curling through shattered arches. Emergency crews rushed to aid the wounded, but all eyes still found their way to one image: the human captain, bloodied but unbowed, holding the hand of the alien child. For generations, the Kairathi had ruled through fear, yet their heir had chosen differently, reaching for compassion, not conquest. And humanity, dismissed as reckless and volatile, had answered with protection rather than ambition. Some delegates whispered of treachery, others spoke of prophecy, but a new current surged across the galaxy. If the most warlike empire's heir could bond with a human, then perhaps peace was not only possible, but inevitable. Alara stood before the Queen Regent once more, expecting punishment. Instead, the towering matriarch inclined her head, barely but unmistakably, a gesture not of dominance but of respect. "Guard them well," the Queen said, her voice echoing like distant thunder, "for you guard the future of us all." Alara didn't know if she had the strength for the path ahead, but when the child's small fingers tightened around hers, she understood. This wasn't humanity's burden, it was their chance. Weeks later, Alara stood aboard Earth's flagship as it drifted past the stars. The alien child clung to her side, patterns glowing softly, casting constellations across the walls. Across the galaxy, old alliances trembled. Empires whispered of war or of hope. For the first time, the Kairathi heir walked openly among other species, and always with a human hand in theirs. Alara knew she hadn't ended conflict. She had only begun a new chapter. But when the child looked up at her and smiled, she felt certain of one truth: the galaxy would never be the same again.